It was a childhood memory. Growing up in a small neighborhood, nobody had any reason to hate one another, or disagree over any pointless topic. We had two streets, Harrison Place and Harrison Street. Place was a small street where the majority of the senior citizens lived, in the comfort of their larger houses. What branched off of Harrison Street What branched off of that was Harrison Street, where everyone else lived. We would cross through the small woods path to go to the next two streets, to screw around with other kids, of course. But for some reason, nobody ever went directly into the woods. Now, you're probably imagining a vast expansion of trees. No, it's nothing more than a bullshit excuse for an actual woods. It was just a small wooded area that deer wandered through, and sometimes in the spring. Nothing out of the ordinary lived there, as far as we knew. Just regular threats you'd find in any normal woods. Snakes, the occasional coyote, that sort of thing. Nothing to worry about, except at night. November 25th. Recently we've heard a lot of noises coming from inside of the woods. I know there's an animal in there causing the commotion, but it didn't interest me enough to make me question it, since I was already used to noisy catfights and fisher cats shouting from inside the woods. Keep in mind, I was only about 8 years old at the time, and was very sensitive to belief of the supernatural. So I kept my head up and avoided thinking about any of the noises being too out of the ordinary. November 26th, 11:50 a.m. In the middle of the school day, it dawned on me. If I want to know what's going on, I'll borrow Chuck's game camera. Chuck was your friendly go-to guy and hunting expert. He let me use his game camera for as long as I needed to. November 27th, 1 a.m. Excited to find the source of the noise, I set the camera right near the path the first night. I got nothing except for a shot of a small group of deer. Two of them seemed to be looking directly at the same thing, while the other one had no interest of what the others were looking at. I was happy with the photos I captured, knowing that I had found some of the reason why the woods were so loud all of a sudden. November 28th, 10:25 p.m. After I got the shots of the deer yesterday, I decided to set my camera back out further into the more remote area, hoping for the best the next day. November 29th, 9:07 a.m. I went to check on the camera and brought it back to the house. I had to pry the SD card out, which was unusual, and uploaded the stored data to my computer. All the pictures were blank except for one of a hawk. How neat. However, I didn't really care for anything other than something that could make awful sounds get ever so louder and more common. I joked around saying it's probably the American Banshee, and left it at that. November 29th, 10:11 p.m. I set the camera very low this time so I can get a better range of motion, and set up a tripwire so if anything trips the wire, it would take a picture instantly. I also upgraded the LED lighting system with new individual lights so I could identify anything that shows up in the picture at all. November 30th, 7:02 a.m. I woke to more sounds of howling and screaming. I instantly sprung out of the bed and sprinted into the woods to check the camera. It was beaten to shit. with the SD card surprisingly still in its place. I managed to salvage the card from the wreckage and told Charlie before examining the files on it. One photo had a large group of deer seeming to be running away from something. The last picture taken approximately 1:44 a.m. It was just a pasty white hand on the ground. I was absolutely dumbfounded as to why there'd be someone in the woods running around naked, scaring deer. Maybe it wasn't human. What was that thing? November 30th, 6:59 p.m. School today was just awful. I couldn't take my mind off that picture. Every class, all day, I just stared blankly. And it was in the woods, within feet of my house. I haven't bothered going back to the woods ever since I replaced the camera. February 14th, 2:16 p.m. It dawned on me. I'm on mid-February break, and I remembered the photos I took in the woods. How did I forget? The thing I had seen was a monster. Literally. What had I done to tell anybody? Nothing at all. I'm the only one with the knowledge, and the rest of the neighborhood doesn't know what to expect of this thing. When I tell them, or if I even tell them, I don't want to bother setting the camera up again. Besides, considering the fact that the last one I used was destroyed completely, I don't think he'd let me borrow it again. February 14th, 8:34 p.m. I had to do some major ass kicking just to get that camera again. Since the last time I used it, it was destroyed, and those cameras are pretty pricey. I didn't even look at the price or the model of the camera when I replaced it. What I failed to notice, however, that this camera takes videos with audio, and had ultraviolet and infrared settings on it. Wonder why it was so expensive. I tested it out in video mode and uploaded a video to my laptop. The file saved as vid_01.avi. I found it odd that it wasn't a .mp4 or something with higher quality. Now I'll stop rambling and get on with it. That night I put the camera in the same spot where the monster was, and got the picture. When I got the picture. Here on the East Coast, at 8 p.m. the sun is already completely down. It took some nerve to get it back in there. As soon as I turned it on, I heard the crunching of snow. It didn't sound like feet, it sounded like 4 of them. I could just smell the fear pouring out of me. The crunching stopped when I began to take slow, leisure-like steps out of the woods. In a stroke of panic, I ended up bolting right out of there. Still hearing the footsteps behind me. As soon as I hit the asphalt, I stopped, as did whatever was chasing me. I head back home and relax. This can't get any more stressful or traumatic for me anyways. February 15th, 6:03 a.m. It was almost like Christmas morning. As soon as I woke up, I jumped out of my bed without even bothering to get dressed, ran outside half naked into the woods to check on the camera. I hope it hadn't been broken again. I was almost completely broke. To my relief, the camera was okay, but I had yet to see what was on it. I pulled out the 2 gig SanDisk memory card, and I was surprised there was hundreds of 15-second clips on the card. I began to watch immediately. The first was just snow, and trees swaying in the blistering wind. It seemed like the first 20 were the same. But when I got to the 21st video, everything was black and in blood red letters. It said in the center of the video, "Data explugged." This startled me much more than it should have. I ran through the rest of the videos and all the clips were displaying the same error message. file is there. It displays a file size, but it shows me that message. February 18th, 2:12 a.m. I scrounged everything on the memory card. I didn't even find anything else aside from the previous video of a freak humanoid. I didn't find anything aside from the previous photo of a freak humanoid. The man who's fan of cryptids and relics, but reality of something like this actually existing? Did it get the better of my imagination? It's 2 a.m. I'm going to bed. February 18th, 9:26 a.m. What seemed like the quickest catnap ever was actually was. I woke to another singularly normal day. I had my coffee. I prepared to go outside for a walk when I noticed my door. What the hell happened to it? My door was ripped to shreds. I'm not safe. Nobody is.